I'm Matt.
I'm Kerry.
We are the Stagmer brothers of Baltimore Knife and Sword. We're going to be building some of your favorite weapons, and some weapons that you've never seen before.
This is Man-at-Arms, Reforged.
This episode is sponsored by Squarespace. Stick around to the end of the episode to receive a special offer from Squarespace.
This time on Man-at-Arms, we're going to be building something for one of the most popular games to ever hit the Steam platform, and that's PUBG. And we've heard you guys. We've seen the requests. You want to see the frying pan, the crowbar, or the machete? Well, we're going to be making the machete. And most of the time, on Man-at-Arms, we make the most sought-after weapon from a game. Well, melee weapons aren't that in this game. If you drop into Pachinki or on top of school and the first thing you see is a machete, you're not too excited because you got guys surrounding you that probably have firearms. But it is one of the only weapons that we can really make on this show and do it justice. When I told Ilya we were going to be making a Russian machete, he got pretty excited. And let's just say he's got something pretty special planned for you.
All right, friends. Some of you compare me to Mr. Boris. Well, as you all know, I've been doing some cooking myself. This time I cooked something pretty good. To start the machete, I have mild steel, also known as железка. Железка is just not enough to make machete, so you take some high carbon steel. This is cooking. We're making Russian buterbrod with high iron content, good for blood in cold weather. The key is to not overcook it. So we take some wire. Так вот, раз, закручиваем. Продолжаем готовить бутерброд. The key to buterbrod, as I said, is condiments. Boom, mayonnaise matches the suit, it doesn't open. Capitalist propaganda. And generously apply mayonnaise. You want a true Slav weapon, you have to use true Slav items. Couldn't find pickles, so we use capitalist сухая for taste. You have to space them out pretty nice. And now it's time to bake the buterbrod. Once the buterbrod is ready out of the bake, you pull it out and press it very gently with a couple 100 pounds of pressure to make it consolidated. Fortunately enough, in this case, the mayonnaise helped as well as the croutons, and no forge welding flaws have been observed. Our piece will be wider at the tip than it is at the base, so I carefully use the power hammer to pinch out the edge to establish my width. After all that procedure is done, it's time to move on to the tang. Machetes don't have a classical tang, as you have a slab construction for the handle later on to be addressed by Matt, so I use my offset tool to create the handle shape. After having used the offset tool, I move on to the anvil to refine the shape by hand. It is probably very obvious to the viewers that the tip of the machete is not quite right. In my opinion, it is not Slavic at all. So I take a hot chisel and mark my line where I'm going to cut it off. After that, I flip over the machete and use the hardy tool on the anvil to create a score line on the other side. I quickly quench the tip, making it hard, and break it off with a hammer. Now, this is a very nice treat for you people. You have high carbon steel on one side of the blade and mild steel on the other. So, as you heat up the piece, high carbon steel expands slightly more than mild steel. As the blade cools down, the pre-curve that I have established straightens out almost completely, or even sometimes can go completely to the opposite direction.
Gotcha! You just fell for the oldest trick in the PUBG book. Anyway, Ilya went ahead and forged the base of our machete blade. Now this is called a Tapanga Machete, and one of its most distinct features is it doesn't have a point. It has this nice blunt section, and the back kind of sweeps up, which he didn't forge that sweep in, so I'm gonna have to grind that in. I'm also gonna do what's called a chisel grind, which means I'm gonna grind from one side and leave the other side completely flat. But before I decide which side I'm gonna grind that bevel on, I have to spark test it to make sure I know which side is the high carbon edge, and then grind the edge from the opposite side. If I choose wrong, we won't have a very good cutting edge at all. Now that I have the entire surface of this blade sanded pretty much flat all the way through 120 grit, I'm going to move on to establishing the bevels. Now, as I said earlier, we're going to be doing a chisel grind, which means I'm grinding the bevel all from one side, grinding completely through the mild steel, leaving the high carbon cutting edge.
Here you can see for our machete, I've gone ahead and drilled the holes for the handle pins and the hole towards the back of the spine of the machete. Now I'm gonna go ahead and take our rotary tool and open this up a little bit and get more of an elliptical shape to it. These holes are used in order to hang the machete up, to keep it out of wet conditions, keep it out of the reach of children, and it can be easily lashed to a belt to keep the flat of the blade up against your body, as opposed to hanging it from, say, the handle, where it might slap around and move around on you.
So the last part of my job is the heat treating of the butterbrot, also known as the machete. The optimal temperature for this procedure is approximately 1500 degrees Fahrenheit. You might notice that the blade, which was straight in the beginning, curves in the forge. That is good. Our two different sides of the butterbrot are interacting with each other. As soon as the blade is up to heat, I go and plunge it into the oil. I wait approximately 8 to 10 seconds and pull it out and start straightening on the bottom of the anvil. You do not want a crooked blade, I tell you. The blade is now straight, it is not too brittle. I clamp it in the anvil using a pair of tongs and let it cool off.
Ilya is going to be tempering in hot oil again. When he does this, he's going to check for straightness. If the piece is out, he'll be able to either hammer or bend it while it's still hot.
All right, at this point, our machete blade has now been heat treated and tempered, which is a sign of a quality blade. The majority of machetes in the world, I would say the vast majority, are just regular old sheet metal, whatever they could find with an edge ground on it. But we here at Man-at-Arms and Ball and Rifle and Sword, we're not really into the mass-produced thing. We make quality weapons, so we had to heat treat it. My next step is just to scuff the entire blade. I'm gonna start on an 80 grit, get rid of all the scale, move to 120, 220, and then our final polish. My final step that I'll be doing in the grinding is adding 3 fullers up the flat of the blade once it's completely polished. Now, as I mentioned at the top of the episode, I play PUBG pretty competitively, and I also stream it live on Twitch, so feel free to stop by twitch.tv/Stalkertron.
Using one of the custom knife wheels that we made, Matt's going to go through this, cut the fullers in. He'll then be able to polish the entire piece out.
Matt has our machete blade fully finished out, polished, fullers are in it. He's handed it off to me to attach the handle slabs. I'm gonna drill the holes through and insert a couple of pins cut off from this piece of brass. I'm gonna drill this side first, then I'm gonna go in and drill the second half. Glue it all together, let it dry, and then finish it off, and we'll be ready.
It's always easy to tell Ilya's classical education. You can see it in his drawing. What's really amazing is he's self-taught as an engraver. Now he'll just go back over his drawing and cut in the design.
I was always confident that this would be a fun and beautiful build by the time it was done. I didn't really have any idea that it would be this much fun. But let's see if we can move on to the demo and do a little more than 60 damage per strike and get ourselves that chicken dinner. Hey guys, for the last few episodes, we've been partnered with Squarespace to bring you an all-new website that features all the need-to-know information about both Baltimore Knife and Sword and Man-at-Arms Reforged. Now I'm excited to let you guys know the site's now live. And with Squarespace's easy-to-use, all-in-one platform, they made it a breeze. But I'm gonna level with you. I may have run into one or two snags along the way. But check this, Squarespace has a 24/7, always available customer support line. So one quick phone call, and I was right back on track. And with their built-in pick-your-own URL service, I'm proud to announce that manatarmsallme.com is now live. Be sure to check out our new site, and as always, go to squarespace.com/manatarms to get 10% off your next website or domain purchase.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. If you like this episode, click the like button. Leave a comment below, and if you want something else built, also leave that in the comment. We thrive on it. Thank you much. Stay Slavic.